Okay, so shape, imagine shape. Let's take a look over here at an update for Imagine Shape. So if I will select, for example, Y and Z, I will define a sphere over here. You're going to see that in the bottom right corner, we're going to have this added. And this will allow us to better control over here the points. So the first one will be view and select all. In this case, all the points for that cage that will control the shape of this sphere will be selectable. So that means I can do a shift box selection like this and I can translate everything, or I can only grab those 4 points over here. I can extend that. The second option will be view all and select front. And in this case, as you can see, if I will do like this a rectangle select, it will select everything, but it will still leave that unselected. So that's the difference with view and select all. If I will do the rectangle select, all the points will move. Usually you want it to work like this, but you can also view and select front. And in this case, as you can see, the points that will be selected will be the same from this perspective, so that point will not be selected. If I'm going to move around the camera like this, and if I will do a rectangle selection now, we're going to see that now that point will remain unselected. So I usually would recommend to keep this on view and select all. Now we have over here distant base mesh. This will be regarding how that mesh will be defined. So this is the first option. The second one will be projected base mesh. In this case, for the sphere, it will look like this. Usually it's a little bit harder to work with this because you will need to select those points and have those deformed. It's usually a lot easier with that cage that will control everything. And we can also use hidden base mesh in this case. That means that those points will be hidden, so we need to select them, let's say blindly like this, in order to deform it. I would recommend to keep this on distant base mesh, and it's a lot easier to work with the points like this on the exterior of that control cage. Now over here we also have a high preview, a low preview. Depending on the complexity of the model, you can sometimes go with the low preview. In this case, as you can see, for this it will have the following input. So with high preview, this will be really smooth. With low preview, it will be like this. But if I will press space, it will automatically become again high. So that will end that editing mode and it will enable the high preview over here. And we can also go within the polygonal preview, which in this case will actually convert that sphere within a cube. Now, if I will have this deformed, I'm going to press space. As soon as that will be processed, it will be updated because it's actually the same sphere that is remaining in the background. It will just be rendered as a polygonal preview. This is the most, let's say, low resource demanding option, but I would recommend to keep this either on low or high preview. And over here we have the selections. So usually the best one will be the rectangle trap. That is the one that is by default selected, but we can also use the brush over here trap. And as you can see, the brush trap will look like this. I'm going to hold down shift and I can drag various elements, and all of those that will be selected will now be translated, in this case with the translation tool. Now it's a little bit trickier to use this one. You actually need to go ahead and swipe on top of those, and as you can see, if you're going to go back and forth, it will look like this, but it will still remain selected, so it just will create that gradient over there. We can also have the lasso trap. In this case, if you're going to hold down shift, you can draw a lasso, and everything that will be in the interior will be selected. As we can see over here, the lasso selection will now act like this. Previously, it was a little bit different because I did the selection differently. We can also have the stroke trap in this case. The stroke trap will work like this. So you're gonna do a selection, again, hit shift, and it's quite similar to lasso trap. I usually prefer to keep it over here with lasso trap. But with stroke, you can also select the points like this. As you saw, I made that line that intersected all of those. And now I can translate those, or I can rotate those around like this. So the best option would be rectangle trap, because that gives the best control. But also you need to pay attention to the camera. And in some cases you will need to rotate. For example, I'm going to rotate like this so that I can grab all of those 4 points. And I can go ahead and move those. If I want the other 4 points, I'm going to rotate like that, grab those. The one on the top, the one on the bottom, and so on. If you're going to use additional faces over here, it will be again really important to align that view. So let's say that I only want to select those over here. I will align like this, and now I can have those translated or deformed. Okay, so this was an overview. It's quite a lot easier to work with this. You can also click over here. As you can see, this will move it around. I usually prefer to keep it over here on the bottom right corner. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video regarding CATIA Imagine Shape. You're going to find a similar video on the left side, and I will also add the subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.